Okay, folks. I make it 29 minutes past, so I've got a minute. Just talk amongst yourselves. I'm hoping, and I've no, by the way, I've got the headset on because we've got some builders. We've got some builders out, which is like, I know everybody's like, wow, we've got builders to turn up. Yes, we have, but it's a bit noisy out there, so I'm hoping that this will block out the noise of the builders. We'll start. We'll start at 1:30. It's going to be obviously it's World Mental Health Day. I'll explain all that in a second. Just and my understanding is, and I can't tell if this is even happening, is that when we go live, or we might even be live now, is this is beamed into YouTube. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that's done, but we've got some technical genius behind the scenes that's doing all that for me. So we are nearly at 1:30. So I think we should go for it because if your eyeballs are on this, then you've rocked up at exactly the right time. So, very, very warm welcome, everybody. This is World Mental Health Day. So, I thought, like, as the sort of kind of, I know it's ridiculous, but Doctor of Happiness, Doctor of Positive Psychology, whatever you want to call it. I'm Andy and I'm from Derby. Seems kind of a bit weird that the sort of happiness expert from Derby, but there you go. That's the way it goes. What I want to do today on World Mental Health Day is like literally just, I think it's going to be 15 minutes or so. It's difficult to know. Just introduce you to the one thing. The one thing. That's what we thought we'd call it today. The one thing that links. It's like supercharging your mental health and well-being, basically. So now, for those who don't know me, I've got a PhD from Loughborough Uni. This is the beast in all its unexpurgated, waffly glory. So I've had to jump through some academic hoops at Loughborough Uni to get that. Took me a long time. That's downloadable from the website. I mean, I don't know why you would want to, but some people do like to get their eyeballs on that. So go wrestle with that to your heart's content. I mean, download it if you want. This is basically this 15 minutes is not that. And describe it a bit like, like we try. What we do at Art of Being Brill is we try and take that, so it's got an academic core behind it, like the DNA of what we do is academic, but we then remove all the lumpy words and distill it down to the bare bones of the essence. Really, describe it like once I was trying to make some soup once. Right, just go with it, and I forgot to take the thing was on the pan, and I took a phone call, and it stayed on. Sorry, it was on the boil, and when I got back to it, almost all the liquid had gone, and there was just this sort of goo. Goo. Have I just said that this webinar is like this? It's like goo. Yeah, well, it's kind of is the goo, really. It's the essence of one thing. What's the one thing? So just get around to it. The secret of well-being. And you could say, well, maybe he's bound to talk about happiness, or he's bound to talk about confidence, or purpose. That's a big one. Or he's bound to do a mindfulness technique. If there's one thing, it's got to be gratitude. Now, they're all important things, but if there's one, then it's people, or specifically the ability to create strong, close personal connections with actual real flesh and blood people. So that's going to be my one thing. I call it the 3 R's: relationships, relationships, and relationships. So, and it's a big oxymoron there in the middle of all that, is that actually in a world where we're hyper connected, like the most connected ever, and yet people are dying of loneliness, which is a bit weird, right? A bit weird. So in order to get you around to relationships, let's give a nod to the modern world, right? I've got some numbers here. I'm just going to read them out because I can't remember them off the top of my head. But basically, I mean, they're from various sources, some a bit more dubious than others. But the aim is to make a point in a slightly kind of fun way, although I'm not sure it's very fun. It's about phones, right? So I've got my phone here, and I've got a smartphone like everybody else has. I've got some stats around smartphones. I'm not going to read you all of them because some of them are a bit rude, but I'll just go with the basics, right? So the average phone user, apparently, we're looking at our phone now 150 times a day on average. Right now, of course, everybody watching this is going, "Oh no, that's not me." Well, actually, it is, but we're like so addicted that we just don't know that every spare second, whoosh, every spare whoosh, and there we go. Yeah, 150 times. Super users who are mostly under 15 are looking at their phone 358 times a day on average. We're unlocking their phone and looking at it 358 times a day. That's an addiction, people. 72% of people look at their phone first thing. So like you open your eyes and you scrolly, the cacophony of the world is let into your head straight away. It's a rude awakening, people. It's a rude awakening. 61% of people have texted someone in the same room as them. Come on. I was just going to say hello. But I know that if I do that in a workshop, I tell her, there's always some woman who goes, "Oh yes," she says, I have to WhatsApp my daughter to tell her it's tea time upstairs because she's got her headphones in." Okay, it's not quite the same room as you, same house as you. 48% of people feel anxiety if their phone battery dips below 20%. Okay, fair dues. 38% of people use their phone while driving, even though they know it's against the law. 64% of people use their phone on the toilet, and a third of those have dropped their phone down the toilet. Look, there's a few rude ones, but essentially it boils to come on the workshop, I'll give you the rude ones, right? Boils down to this, is that we are here looking at our phones glued to our screens 3 hours and 52 minutes a day, which equates to, if you add all that up, that's 44 days a year. Okay, now, I'm not saying that's wrong or right. You can make that up for yourself. Let's layer on top of that something called, in positive psychology, it's called Dunbar's number. So Dunbar's number was, I think it's Robert Dunbar, a clever guy, right? He was originally doing research on apes, right? But then he brought it down to human beings because, first cousins and all that, not that far removed. And essentially, this is how it goes, right? So off the top of my head, I've not got it written down, but this is essentially the headline news. Is you spend about 40% of your entire life with quite a close circle of between 6 and 8 people. So in monkey terms, this is your troop. in human terms, it's your tribe, it's your clan, it's your community, it's your family, right? So you've got about 6 to 8 people that you spend 40% of your entire life with. And then another 20% of your time is spent with a slightly wider circle of 6 to 8 people. So basically what that means, what Dunbar's number is, it says you spend about 60% of your entire life with a small circle of between 12 and 15 people. All right? So the one, you could know who they are straight away. You could write them down, right? These are your really close family and your really close friends. You're going to spend 60% of your time with those people. And therefore, the one thing that will supercharge your well-being and your happiness is really close friendships and relationships with those 12 to 15 people. I'm talking like in the same room, making eye contact, having actual conversations with those people rather than, I know you're sometimes going to have to WhatsApp and text people. I get that. But if you want the one thing, it is investing in high quality relationships with those 12 to 15 people. That is the biggest single factor. There's something in all science, it's called the meta-analysis, right? And meta-analysis is when you analyze lots of analysis. It's like analysis paralysis. You take all the studies and you try and pick out the headline news from all of them. And this is the one thing, the headline news is those 12 to 15 people at the core of your life. So you're better off investing your time in them. Now, that's easier said than done. All right, that's easier said than done because I also am a victim of the modern world. But these numbers, this Dunbar and these phone stats have really challenged me to begin to wean myself off my mobile phone. I think it's called nomophobia, isn't it? An addiction to mobile phones. I'll give you an example. And maybe as your homework as well. Because like I say, I don't want to outstay my welcome here. So I went out with my wife just to the local pub a couple of Fridays ago. Just a couple of beers, a bit of a chat, catch up on the week. And she nips to the loo halfway after an hour, and I'm there on my own. The temptation to get on my phone, right? Like my phone is in my back pocket. There's temptation for me, like I've got 90 seconds on my own. The old version of me, before I knew Dunbar's and before I knew about all those phone stats, whip my phone out, scrolly. There's nothing there to look at, but I'm just mindlessly killing 90 seconds of my life on my phone, looking at nothing in particular. Phone's in pocket. I'm like, oh my gosh, fighting the urge to do that. And I was quite proud of myself because I didn't do it. I'm like, ooh, look at me. Hey, get me. How cool is that? That's 90 seconds that I've not spent on my phone. So rather than being on my phone, I kind of looked proudly up at everybody to show everybody that I could do it. And of course, I didn't catch anybody's eye because they're all on their phones. Every single person on their phone. And here's my bugbear. And again, you can do with it what you like. We're there in the pub. There's a family to our right, gone out for a meal. I don't know. I'm assuming it's mum and dad, and there's a kid in a high chair, so a tiny one, and their slightly older brother and sister. Kid in the high chair has got their iPad propped up watching a cartoon. Little boy opposite is on his phone. Mum and dad are engrossed in catching up with whatever social media is or texting their mates. There was no eye contact. There was no conversation. And that's the kind of thing that breaks my heart. Now, whether you currently do that or not, that's your call. I'm not telling you how to parent, right? It's your call. But that Dunbar number, those phone stats, the fact that, is it any coincidence that mental ill health and ADHD have skyrocketed just at exactly the same time that smartphone addiction has also skyrocketed? So I would look around, honestly, and I've said this for years and years and years. If you want to live your best life, be your best self. And if you want one thing, it is look around at what everybody else is doing and not do that. Raise yourself. Just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's right. So if you're a family, go out without your phones. I dare you, have a conversation. Look at each other in the eye. Talk about the food. Talk about the highlight of your day. How was your day? Was it good, fantastic, or brilliant? There are so many really cool questions you can ask your kids and ask your partner. But it's all about being in the same room as those 12 to 15 people. That's the one thing. So here's your homework. Other than cutting down on your smartphone usage, I'm just thinking, if everybody else is 44 days, so their numbers up, we added it up to 44 days a year that you spent here. What if you just halved yours? So you're only here for 22 days. That gives you 22 days to invest in high quality relationships with the people around you. Your Dunbar 15. Here's your homework, only for the Dunbars. It's the science of hugging. Now, I know a lot of you've been on my on the Art of Being Brill workshops, and you'll have heard this before, but here it is for everybody live on YouTube. It's the science of hugging. Now, personally, I wasn't a big hugger until I learned this a few years ago. Here's the basics, right? For the average hug, if you are a huggy person or you watch huggy people, the average hug lasts 2.1 seconds, all right? So it's like kind of 1, 2, finished, which is better than nothing. But for the love to transfer between two people, a hug actually needs to last 7 seconds or longer. I know the non-huggers are like, oh my gosh, that's like uncomfortable. All right, well, it might be to start with, right? 7 seconds, not strangers in the park, because that's weird. Your Dunbars, your 12 to 15 people, those who are psychologically close enough to warrant a 7-second hug, right? So it's not for your boss or your customers, it's for your 12 people. Even if you're a non-hugger, your homework off the Doctor of Happiness, the one with the big PhD in all this, your homework is to administer some 7-second hugs with your 12 to 15 people, all right? So obviously don't count out loud. I learned that early. If you're like just 1, 2, 3, yeah, that's going to kill it stone dead. And it does get a bit uncomfortable on about 4, because if you think about it, right, they're expecting the average 2.1 seconds. You're going to give 7. So when you get to 4, that's twice as long as they thought they were going to get, and you're still not letting go. So they will start wriggling. But that's kind of quite good, because what that means is you've got to squeeze quite tight for those last 3 seconds, otherwise they'll have escaped. All right. Now, is that like, oh, is he trying to be inappropriate? No, it's not inappropriate. It's love, people. It's love. It's relationships, relationships, relationships. 3 R's. The beauty of 7 seconds is it's just long enough for the other person to know that you love them. You don't have to say anything. I'm not very good at saying I love you, but I don't have to. If I hug my 12 people for 7 seconds, they know that I love them. Okay, it's a beautiful thing. That's got to be the best homework you've ever had off any sort of video off the internet ever, really, isn't it? So I think I'll just about leave it at that. I think there is some powerful stuff in there. Obviously, as we try and do as a Art of Being Brill, is disguised as common sense and good fun, which of course, hopefully, it is. Can I just give you, I think I've got to go now because I've got to get off to work as well, like everybody else. Yeah, hopefully you've watched this on your lunch hour or whatever. If you've enjoyed it, please send the link, spread it to other people. If you've really enjoyed it, we've got a community on Buzz. So Buzz is an app. Oh, sorry, no, on Discord. Discord's the app. And if you go on there, in fact, I tell you what, I don't know how to do this, but after I've finished, somebody will put a link in the chat to the Buzz thing. But essentially what we find is that people come on our workshops, they read our books, they come on our keynotes, and they really enjoy it. But some people need a little bit of support, or it's nice to chat about well-being and happiness. So we've created a forum on Discord. Now, Discord's a bit clunky. It's not the best app in the world. But once you've got past the clunkiness and you click on the link, it takes you into the the lounge. And tonight we're going to be just chatting through, because it's World Mental Health Day, we're going to have a little chat around some of the stuff that I've spoken about today. All right, so I think that's 6 o'clock this evening. But again, the details, I actually can't remember. But I'll be there tonight. Hopefully you'll be there tonight. If you want to continue the conversation, then Discord's the app. Buzz is the chat room. Folks, it's been an absolute joy and a pleasure. How long have we been? So we are... Did I do? Oh, no, I did. It's been 15 minutes, which I said was about right. All right, so lots of good stuff in there. Hopefully those 3 things are all one thing. So relationships, relationships, relationships. That's the one thing. Over and out. See you next time. Bye.